Again. I don't know if anyone's watching right now, but yeah, this is kind of like a spur of the moment, and my hair looks slightly orange right now, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, I just had some food, so I'm having a smoke again, and hopefully you guys are still here, and let's see what happens. It's fine either way, but yeah, and we'll see. I know it's early in the morning, so I guess I'm lucky if anyone shows up, because it is, like I said, it's kind of not super early or anything, but let me see. Oh, okay. No, wait, that was weird. What was that? Oh, okay. Someone is watching now, at least. I just tried something out to see, because it came up with some kind of message on my screen, and I don't know what that was about, but the wonders of YouTube and not knowing what's going on all the time with it. So, yeah, I'm about to light my cigarette up, if I can only find my lighter. It's funny how, like, when you have a smoke ready to go, then your lighter is deciding, I'm gonna be missing right now, I'm gonna go hide. So, I still have the old one. I could probably light this one with the old one. I'm curious, like, you who are watching me right now, please say something in the chat so I can know who you are. Because like I said, I'm on my phone, so I can't see anything until you actually say something in the chat. So, unless you're a troll that wants to stay anonymous. So, I don't know which is the case, but like I said, at least someone is watching. Ah, there it is. Found it. Here you go. And again, like I said, this is actually blue on the lighter, but it shows up as orange. And my hair, which is like a has-been gray, no, that's not the correct term, has-been brown, even looks a bit orange, like I'm a ginger. So now I get why someone did call me a ginger once. I get that now. I really do. Because if they watched my live show, they probably think I am. Because I go live from my phone and all the colors are messed up. So I don't know why. I really don't. And again, this one person that's watching, thank you for watching, whoever you are, and you haven't left yet. So, but yeah, since I'm doing this on my phone, and this is just like I said, a spur of the moment thing. So, well, here we go. And I think I burned my eyelashes on that one, because I tilted my face to the point where the flame is indirect, because I could smell it just after. You get that distinct smell from burning hairs, and we have one more person watching. Yep, you get that distinct smell of burning hair, and like, it was in this moment that Beat knew that. How is that saying? It was in this moment that Beat knew he fucked up. Oh, so they left again really quickly. Okay, or maybe they changed. Maybe that one stayed and the other one left. I don't know. But yeah, I'm here. Oh yeah. And I'm not expecting much these days, because it's been I've been considering renaming the Hangout to yeah, I won't give any spoilers, but yeah, I've been thinking about renaming the Hangout, basically, because of the way it's been lately. But I don't care. I mean, it's fine in that sense, because I know, in a way, I know the reason why, but in actuality there is no real reason, like, as far as I know, and I was also thinking about, like, earlier, how I was going to talk about something that's, how can I say, been on. It's not like I'm thinking about it, like, constantly or anything, but it's just something that came to me as I was thinking about doing this. And thank you for the like, whoever that was. But yeah, I really wish you would say something in the chat, because apparently I'm live. So, and since I'm doing this on my phone, I can't see you until, like, I don't know if there's a way, because I tried it last and it did cause it to lag. So I try to avoid that, because these live shows, they lag too much anyway. But as I was saying, let me give you the intro to how I came to think about this subject. Let's call it, for lack of a better term, because obviously I'm having a smoke. That's part of the reason for me being live. But also I wanted to talk about what I refer to as integrity, because I was having a discussion with someone, and I remember them using a different word. They used a different word to describe what we were discussing, and I said, no, to me it's integrity. Because what is integrity? And let me start off, just clarify that I have never made any statements about myself, other than my name, of course, if you want to see it like that my name means something along those lines, but it really doesn't. But I've never made any claims to be something special, something fantastic, something great, something good, or super smart or anything like that. No, I'm just very basic when it comes to who I am as a person. And so anything I have that you could appreciate or value it's all comes from a basic standpoint. It comes from a very down to earth, grounded sort of thinking, but it's also based on logic. And so when I had this album, and I don't know if you watching know this story, so I'll repeat it for you just for that reason. But when I came up with the nick, it was actually on a CD I had. So, and now I'm gonna get to the right format, so you don't have to look at me in a weird angle. But when I came up with it, it was on the back of a CD I had, and basically it said it was a sort of like techno music, not really techno, but in that field, in that level sort of thing, close to it. And it was Cold Cut, and the album was called Let Us Play or Let Us Replay, because I have both of them, so I don't remember, but I think it was the original one, the Let Us Play, because the Replay album is basically a remix of all the songs on on the original album. Sorry for that. I'm about, it's funny, usually when I eat I feel better with my throat and everything, but for some reason now, maybe it's because I'm smoking and all of that, but I feel kind of hoarse. But anyway, back to the point. Cold Cut wrote on the back of their album because they had basically been accused of being a dance act, and in that time they at least saw it as something negative. And so the guy, Cold Cut is consistent of two people, but it's actually one guy who's behind it, and this guy is like a Zen Buddhist, and he's a great philosopher and activist, and very much a person along a person suited to my liking, to put it like that. And he's very much, in many ways, the way I wish I could be. Like, I'm not sure of this statement. This is just what I think. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a vegetarian even. But, like, that's one of those examples. I wish I could be a vegetarian, but I can't. Like, I mean, everyone can do whatever they can. So, like another friend of mine said, it's actually won't. So it's true. Shotgun. Sorry for calling your name out like that, but yeah, I gotta give you credit though. You're the one who said it. Like, anyone can do anything if they choose to, so it's basically a choice. But he was accused of being a dance act, this guy Cold Cut, because he is basically Cold Cut, even though they do consist of two people. One of them is the DJ guy who creates the beats, and I guess it's like a collaboration between the two, but they are two people, they are a duo. But the main guy himself, he's the one who comes up with all the writings. all the philosophy, all the statements, all the lyrics, and the other guy provides the backdrop for it. So they wrote on the back of the album, "Next generation beatnological manipulation. Fuck dance, let's art." And I consider myself an artist too, in some way, or at least I used to be. I don't know, you can label it any way you want, but I do see myself as an artist. So them being accused of being dance, and at least them seeing it as being negative, they addressed it through that way, that statement that they had on the back of the album. But when I saw the word beatnological, as in rhythmological, I saw something different. I've always been that way. I do notice things in a different way. I do interpret things a different way. So I don't know, like, I'll say it again. I do suspect there's a chance that I might be autistic. I don't know. But frankly, I don't care, because someone asked me, would you like to pursue that, to find out whether or not you have a diagnosis or not of autism on some kind of level? And I'm like, no, why would I? Because I know who I am. So, but the point I'm making is that when I saw that, it was 3 words. And it was beat, no logic. Because to me, when I was younger, the world made sense. Like, I was a kid, sure, and I didn't know any better than, kids do. But at the same time, you could say that I was like... It was a different time too, like that plays into it as well. But even though I was just a kid, I can say even now, as an adult, that the world did make more sense. And so, growing up and coming to this age that I'm now, I recently turned 43. So I can say even now, it seems the world has changed. You only go back 10, 15 or 20 years and you can see the change. So that's only like half my life. I don't even have to go back to the very beginning and my very young years to see how the world has changed. But what I'm saying is that the more we age, for one, we changed as well. But when I met this 19-year-old, as I mentioned in my last show, I met this 19-year-old, I know him, and the reason I know him is not only because I know his father, but his mother is from that little place I come from. His father was a black guy. And when I say black guy, I want to be clear too. Not African American, because he wasn't American at all. Like, he was from Africa, from Gambia, if I remember correctly. So they got together like before immigration was even a big thing. Like, it has still happened, but it wasn't as a big thing as it is now. But they got together back then, so they had kids together, and so these kids, they speak fluently Norwegian. They grew up as Norwegians. So in that sense, it's easy to communicate with them, because they have the language. But this guy too, he's one of those people I've met that has been consistently a good guy, and I like him. So a big shout out to Samba. That's his name. Like the dance, the Brazilian dance, that's actually his name. His name is Samba. So big shout out to Samba for being such a cool guy, and he must be like 50 now. So I think he's like something like that age. But back to what I was saying, like, I knew this guy through that. Like, my mother was the one that actually told me that he had his kids, his sons were actually the sons of this woman, this Norwegian woman from my little place. And when I met him, like, I have known him then for maybe 3-4 years. Like, I knew him from before for the fact that he was the son of Samba, but I didn't know him like that. We didn't, and then we met on a certain place. We met, and we got to know each other a little bit more, and we started to even though like normally I would see them before we didn't talk, but then after that we started at least saying hi to each other when we saw each other and talking if we had the time. So, and when he told me, and like I said, he was 19 years old at the time, and these boys, they're both basically the same age. So don't ask me which one it was, if it was the older or the youngest, because they're so fucking close, it's not even funny. But they're not twins though. They're born, at least 9 months apart, But when he said to me, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And this was completely unprovoked. Like, I didn't say anything to him, like we were on the subject or anything. I mean, we were in a way, but it's not like I said anything to sway his opinion. He said it by himself. And it really had an impact on me, because I realized when someone is half your age, because that's what I'm talking about. This guy was half my age, born at a totally different time. Like, I was born in the 70s. This kid was been born in the 80s or 90s, maybe even the 2000s. Who knows? I'm not sure exactly when this was. This was a few years ago. Not many years, but a couple of years, But he's way younger than me. So when you have someone that age, that generation, even saying it, it makes an impact on you. And I was surprised. I was surprised at someone in that generation having that opinion, feeling that way. Like me, I'm getting to be an old man, so I understand if I'm frustrated with how things are and all of that, because it's part of growing older too. Like, you feel the world was a worse place than when you were young, and that's natural progression too, of course. But again, with everything in life, here's the thing. Whatever problem you look at in the world, in society, in whatever, there's something that you can't look aside from. And it's the fact that although some of these things can be explained by natural progression of things, not all of them can be explained the same way. So the question is, what is going on with those that can't be explained that way? And I say it's about integrity. I say it's about the loss of innocence in replacement of greed, because we have replaced our innocence for the benefit of greed, because greed is what drives the world now. And so this other person I was referring to, that made me think about this morning. I say morning because for you guys it's morning, but for me it's actually afternoon. It's almost 5 o'clock. Let me check real quick if I can do that. It's gonna disturb the camera a little bit, but let's see. Yeah, it's almost 6 o'clock here now. So but yeah, to me it's about how we as a species has lost our integrity. Because to me anyway, and I'm gonna put the phone down now, so you'll be seeing my roof. But like I said, I've been on almost 20 minutes now already, so you know who I am. But please come in and say something in the chat, and so I'll know you're there, and I'll have to keep an eye on this. But yeah, I'm gonna put the phone down now. Okay. I don't know what that means. It looks like I can't do it. I don't know why. They keep making changes all the time, and so you have to accept the changes, but at least I'll keep going. It's how the world has lost its integrity. And for me, as I was saying, integrity to me means knowing who you are as a person. And so when anyone makes this boasting claim about themselves, that's not me. I don't make claims like that. Like if you look on camera right now, you'll see my hair is messy and it looks purple, and my lips are purple and everything, the blue on my lighter is orange. I don't give a fuck, because that's not gonna tell you or me who I am, those little things, because in the bigger scheme of things, those are little things. But why is it like another thing that made me think about this was I was going to talk about a certain person, and I didn't mean to call them out or anything. And I'm not referring to Shotgun, which I mentioned earlier, but I was thinking about their sense of comedy, their sense of humor. And I was going to say about that person that they have a great sense of humor, which they do. But at the same time, their humor is kind of sarcastic, I guess you could say, and always with a bit of a snap to it, if you know what I mean. Like, there's always a snap to their comments. It's always funny, but it's also always... hang on a second, I gotta put it down for a little bit. Hopefully it won't give me that same fucking message again. And that's another thing. When we find something funny, it is funny, of course, but at the same time, when it's with that little snap. I live by a very simple code when it comes to things like that, and that's one thing I wanted to mention when I was thinking about this. I have a simple rule. If you can't say anything good, you don't have to say anything at all. It's basically the do unto others rule. Like, I try to treat people the way I want to treat... I try to treat them the way I want to be treated myself. So, if you can't do that, then at least stay quiet, you know? And if you don't like what I'm saying, as an example, I'm just using this video and this show as an example. If you don't like what I'm doing, you can easily click the dislike. I don't have a problem with that. But if you gotta leave a nasty comment, for example, then you're going too far. I didn't ask for your input. Like, it's good if you can give your input, but at least let it be constructive, you know? Talk in a normal way and address the issue, and especially if you have a valid argument, make your argument. But not using any... Don't be calling people names or you know, whatever. But now, like I said, I was actually getting to the point where I wanted to rename the Hangout, and you know, I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, but I don't know if it would have any real effect. Because this is what I'm talking about. It's not only about me and my mistakes, if you want to call it that, you know. It's more than that. It's who we've become over time. And with age and the changes in the world, it seems to be getting worse every day, like the kid said. Excuse me for a second, I have something here in the corner of my eye, and you know me, I'm OCD, so anything there, it annoys me, and I like to feel 100%, but yeah. It's something that's changed over time. It's something that I don't think any single person can be blamed for, but what we can be blamed for if we allow it to change us. So I try to stay the same. I try to be aware of that fact. I try to make sure I keep tabs on who I am, you know? But yeah, you have the whole world basically. Like, this is an example of how the problem works. Like, people will tell you, be yourself. As a very good example. They will tell you, be yourself, and then when you are, they have a problem with who you are. Really? Are you fucking kidding me? Then you're the one that's being a phony, not the other one. So, again, it shows their lack of integrity. And like I said, I'm not saying I'm a perfect person. Not in a long shot. Not on a good day even. And I don't like to use the word humble even, because let God and history be the judge if I was humble, because I don't really... Last time, like I mentioned it, last time I spoke about this, I said, I don't see myself as humble. But I keep working at it, you know. I try to be more humble, and especially like my sister pointed out to me, which every time these people do point it out to me, I'm always thankful towards them because I know what they're saying is a fact. To be thankful for what you have, you know? And I am. Like, my life isn't much. It's really, to be honest, it's quite shit. Like, if I showed you everything in this house right now, you'll be like, damn. So, you know, and again, if someone, like there's two people watching right now, and if any one of you two watching right now is in the room of mine, you know, please drop the link in there. So, because I tried to do this before last time, you know, not last time I did a live show, but last time I did try, it turned out it actually cut the feed, so I can't do it myself right now, and there's no easy way to get the link as you're setting it up. Like, there's probably a way, but I haven't figured it out yet, so give it time. And hopefully I will figure it out, but if anyone, and especially if you are in the room, you can put the link in there, please. I would greatly appreciate that, but either way, the two people that are watching here right now, I'm thankful. I really am, but in other cases, like I need to remind myself sometimes to be more thankful. And today I had one of those moments. Let me see if I can remember what it was. But oh yeah, I was gonna eat some ham for my sandwiches. I just had some sandwiches, and I realized. I was thinking last time I was in the freezer, I was thinking to take out I buy these big packs in Sweden, and I divide them into smaller packages, individual packages, and I freeze them. So I realized I was thinking about taking it out from the freezer, the packs that were there, one of them, and I didn't. So I was like, oh shit, now I gotta eat salami, all sandwiches almost. And then I realized, as I was opening the drawer in the fridge, there actually was a pack of ham there, a different kind of. It's one of those jalapeno ham things. It's like has pieces of jalapeno in it. So anyway, when I saw that, I was like, "Thank you." I literally had a little celebration for that, you know, because like I said, that's the kind of person I am. I appreciate the little things. I don't need a big thing. Of course, I would appreciate a big thing even more. But in life, it seems to be that we humans, we tend to forget to be thankful for whatever happens, whether it be big or small. So I gotta keep reminding myself to be thankful of the things that are good. And it's the same message I'm trying to convey to you guys. You know, be thankful for what you have, and don't treat other people like shit, because there's no way we're gonna move forward in that sense. And another point of that, you know, is the fact that you don't know what it's like for that person. So, okay, it says bad connection. I don't know what that was, but just let me know if everything is okay, especially on your guys' end, because I don't know what that was. But 2 times now I just had the message about bad connection. I don't know what that means, but hopefully it stays on. But that's another benefit to me going live. I can actually keep going as long as I can and as long as I want to. But when I'm recording, I have to make them under 30 minutes each. And, sorry. Like I said, that's the problem for me, having just 8. Anyway, I can keep going up until close to it, but it has to be like under 30 minutes, and then I have to stitch them together after. But when I go live, I can just keep going. So that's a plus as well. But as I was saying, the only way we can move forward and maybe even change the way things are is if we actually start treating each other like human beings. And I know Tommy, he phrased it in another way. When I saw him talk about this in a way, he switched it around somehow. I don't know how to say it the way he did, but being human, he said it along those lines. So being human, and I am in a way Jewish, even though I wasn't born Jewish. I'm pretty much converted to Judaism, and so I know a little bit of Hebrew, and or Yiddish. I don't know which one is the correct term, but you guys who are Americans, you can tell me whatever is the case. But in Yiddish, there's a word called mensch, and in my language, it's menneske, which means human. So being human, and that's why you have the word humanitarian. It means having a thinking when it comes to other people and the world as if you're part of a bigger whole. Some people call it holistic. I don't like that word myself because it's very much used by the New Age fraction of people in the world. So I'm not a fan of those, because anyone who knows the real agenda out there when it comes to people who believe like me, and I'm saying believing in God and Christ and the Bible, if you will, Christianity, because there wouldn't be any Christianity without Judaism. The difference is, supposedly, and I'm not saying this is a fact, but supposedly Jews believe in the Messiah, and Christianity believes in Jesus as the Savior, and the people who actually believes in the bridging of the two, they actually believe that Christ is the Messiah. So, but I'm not going to go into that argument, because that's up to you individually. You make that choice for yourself, what you believe in. Because I know what I believe in, and that's good enough for me. But when it comes to integrity, I wouldn't claim it, and I haven't. But I'm always trying to think in those terms. I'm trying to think from my experience, how have I been treated, and how would I want people to treat me? So I try to treat people the same way, and I hope that that's enough, but that's not for us to decide. We can only do our best and hope that it's enough. So, okay, I'm just checking because it's on my left side, but to you guys it's... I don't know, maybe it turns around normal for you, but to me it's like mirrored, so it's weird. But anyway, I don't know, like, to me, it's mainly about knowing who you are and knowing your principles, your core beliefs, your stance on things, your morals, if you will. And again, I'm not saying I'm a moral person, because I've come in contact with many subjects in my life that is like a contradiction in terms when it comes to us as a people, knowing who we are and living as we are. And that's the thing. Even the Bible states this. Like, the flesh is, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So that's a fact, It's a fact that the Bible knew of when it did speak about that. Like, God knew that this was going to be a problem for us, and now it's become a problem for us. And that's why I say we got to start thinking in new ways. Because the Bible, for example, says, love your enemies. I find that probably like the hardest commandment in the Bible, to love your enemies, because I don't think I have too many enemies. Like, only my enemies would know. That's the funny part about it. Like, only your enemies would know if they're your enemy, because I don't have any enemies. I have people that I don't like and people that I don't socialize with for choice. But that doesn't mean I hate them. Like I said that time, and hopefully I'll try to tilt my head a little bit down. I don't know if you can see it, but it doesn't like on my end, it doesn't seem to show it that well, but my nose is crooked. And the closest thing is probably like the guy who gave me my nose. I can maybe say that I hate that guy. Or at least I hate what he did. But in general terms, I don't hate anyone. But I also know, and I'll give you a good example. I'll give you a very good example. True story from my real life. There was this guy when I was a kid. And again, I don't know how to do it justice because it was in a different language, obviously to English. So, but basically, and it wasn't based on you know, and again, like I've come to the point where I actually have to like weigh my words before I say them, because there are some people out there who just want to watch the world burn, like the guy says in the Batman movie. But it was actually based on reality. It was based on truth. The derogatory term they used about him, because they weren't lying. That wasn't the problem in itself, but it was still derogatory. And basically, they called him something like bad smell. That would be like in one word, bad smell. And I heard about this, of course. I heard them using the term about him. Not all the time, but enough that I actually noticed that they were using that term about him. And so what happened is that when I discovered that there was truth to that, and it was based on his real situation, I didn't use it myself, you know. I learned firsthand that it was based on the fact that he did smell. I mean, yeah, I did, but I didn't use it around other people. I talked to my family about it. I told about how people were calling him this name. And so but the thing is, I didn't relate to it. You know, I couldn't relate. But I'm glad I never talked that way about him myself, because years later, and as of now, as we speak, I had that thing come back and bite me in the ass in a way. Not in itself, because, like I said, I didn't use that term about him myself, but I found myself in that same situation. So I realized, until you are in another man's shoes, or not literally man, because, you know, when I say man, I mean human. So, but until you are in another person's shoes, don't be so fucking high and mighty, because it might come back to bite you in the ass, and you'll learn firsthand that life has a life of its own, as I always say. Life has a life of its own, and the world, and I'm not talking about the world with people on it, but the world itself, the globe, is a living organism, and we are its caretakers. And if we were gone right now, I'm sure even if we were the one that destroyed the world, I'm sure the world would bounce back, because I'm honestly of that opinion that the world would do better without us. And I've been wanting to be gone for years, but now I find myself in this strange predicament where I can't leave even if I wanted to, because not only does it go against God and His will, and it's a sin, but secondly, it's also because of the fact that I did try. I did try to kill myself. And now, in the society side of things, that's a problem for me too, because now, even if I have the best of reasons for making that choice, I couldn't make that choice anymore, because if I do, I would have to make sure I succeed. Because if I did and I failed, then I probably would be put in that place that I was, and I wouldn't be able to get out. So, and that's another thing. Like, I was basically, when I had to leave that place, or not had to leave, when I was going to leave that place, I had to sign my name to a lie. Because it was the only way that I can get out of there. And we have three people watching now, so thank you for being here, even though I know it's early. But yeah, to get out of that place, I had to sign a piece of paper that not only had some really, not only would I say incorrect things, but basically lies themselves, but were also completely irrelevant to the reason for me being there in the first place. Like who I was as a kid at 10 years old, I say, and I'll stay I'll keep this statement till I hit my grave, you know, because who I was as a kid at 10 years old has nothing to do who I am as a person of 40 plus. Nothing whatsoever. So that was one side of it. Like some of it was medical too. Like supposedly I had kidney stones, and I don't remember having kidney stones because there's two ways, especially in that time, there was two ways that you can get rid of kidney stones. One is you pee them out, which is a pain in the ass, like literally a pain in the ass, not in the ass, but you know, it's really, really painful. Or second, you have an operation. And I remember not all my surgeries, obviously, because the first 6 ones I had before I was 1 year old. But when I was 10, that was the year my father died. So I do remember that year very well. And I think I would have remembered if I went into the hospital for some treatment for something. So I don't know what they put that on there, but they also put how my father had died when I was 10 years old. What does that have to do with anything? Sure, it's made it more difficult for me growing up, and since I was so young when it happened, sure, that's made it more difficult, but it hasn't gotten to the point where like after 16, I can put it like this. When I turned 16, that year, it was the time I quote unquote got over it, because technically you never get over something like that. You move on, and it's not weighing you down like it did before. But what my father did, in a way, and this is my core beliefs too, like, because I wasn't strong at the time, you know, I was really broken from him dying. So what happened to me is that he stayed with me. That's what I honestly believe. Because he was gone physically, but he never left me. And so when I was 16, I'm not saying, I didn't notice actually. I couldn't say what happened. Did I just get over it myself, or did he actually leave because I was in that place where I could manage and stand on my own feet? I don't know, but I honestly believe that he was there with me from 10 to 16, because that was the last time. And I'm not saying because I've been there since, but like I was still living in that little place that I come from. So I was still able to visit his grave. And that time I was moving to the city. Or maybe not the city. Maybe it might have been the other place, because I went to school outside the city too. Another place south of here. But the point I'm making is that I think he was with me until I was strong enough. So that feeling that I had, because usually I would feel a certain way and I couldn't put my finger on it all the time. Like it was just a weird feeling. And then suddenly it would be like someone came up with behind me and put like a blanket over me. And I would feel warm, of course, but I would also feel comforted, you know. It would give me comfort and ease of mind. So to me, that was like my father came and and stood by me, if you will, and did what he could do to help me get through it. And then, like I said, I was leaving that little place, and I didn't know what time I would be back, and I don't know the future like that. I am a prophet. I've said it before. I am a prophet, and I have had prophecies in my life. I have had songs of praise come to me and words come to me. I've traveled in time. Yes, I have. I honestly believe I have traveled in time, but not in the sense that most people think about it, because I think everything mystical that you have in life, that you experience, it's not going to be how you think it is. It's not going to be like the movies show it. But at least once, I was transported back in time to learn a specific lesson given one of those dead languages that I know. Because I know at least one or two and of the so-called dead languages. But again, I won't repeat them here because I'm in a good place right now, so I'll save those words for when I'm in a different place, But what I'm saying, and I'm not talking about the physical place or a mental place even, because I don't like the word mental either. So, but yeah, it's a different state of mind, and as I always say, to curse someone, there's a reason why they call it a curse, because you might swear. As it's known, because people swear every day. But the thing is, when you swear because you're angry, especially, it's a curse, because not only are you cursing the person for whatever reason, because you're angry at them for some reason. You don't get angry at people just for no reason. I mean, if you do that, then you're crazy. So, but I'm saying, if you get angry with someone and you curse them, not only do you curse them, but you curse yourself too, because you're putting judgment on yourself. Because, as the Bible states it, judge not, lest you be judged yourself. So it's a kind of judgment that you put on them. And like that woman in the movie, The Color Purple, or something like that. I don't know what it's called in English, but Whoopi Goldberg. I think it's called that, at least that's what it's called in Norwegian. So she says, everything that's been done to me will be done to you. And she just points at the guy, and the guy disdains from doing whatever he was thinking of doing, because he was raising his hand to hit her. And she was just at this point where she basically said no more, in a way. And she just did that. She just raised her hand, pointed at this person that way, and said those words, and it made the person stop. I recently saw a video on YouTube where a woman had a guy come and try and rob her shop, or not her shop. I don't know if it was her, but she was working there anyway. And they tried to come and rob the place. And she started rebuking him in the name of Christ, and he fled. You got to look it up on YouTube. Woman rebukes robber in the name of Christ. Just try to put that in the search bar and see if you can find it, because it's too much fun to watch that video. But it shows that, as the story goes, faith can move mountains. And maybe this guy was raised as a believer before he chose to be a criminal, I don't know the backstory, but the point is, the guy did leave. He fled. And it was hilarious to watch. So I can definitely recommend you watch that video, because it's a good one. And, hang on a second. I got to grab me something. Let's see. Oh, I still have something in the glass, yeah. I was getting a bit dry. That's what talking for a while does, especially when you're already hoarse. But yeah, this woman rebuked the robber in the name of Christ, and it actually worked. So that was amazing to watch, but it was also funny. So definitely go check that out and see if you can find it, because it's a good one. But as I was saying, to curse someone, yeah, it means to put a curse on yourself too, because let's say you don't believe in Christ, or you don't believe in any kind of, I wouldn't say religion or deity, but let's just say you don't believe in anything bigger than yourself. Let's use that as a term. Let's say you use the word karma. Because a lot of people, they don't claim, they claim that they don't believe in anything, but they say they believe in karma. Okay, that's interesting. So how do you explain karma? Okay, I'll try. Basically, the rule of karma is that if you did something, it's going to come back to you. And that's what I saw with that guy that I mentioned earlier. I didn't do anything to him like that. I didn't call him that name. But still, the subject was still something that I was confronted with at a later stage in life. So I realized, not only was I thankful for the fact that I didn't transgress against him, but I was also thankful for the fact that now I knew better. Now I knew how it was to be in that situation that he was in. We don't know the reasons why. But I knew that he grew up in a very... Like my house, we were poor, yeah. But at least it was pretty stable, you know. We didn't have much and we had to scrounge for food, you know. And improvise and all of that. But like I said, it wasn't like my parents were drug addicts or alcoholics or anything like that, even though all the guys on my father's side are and were alcoholics, like pretty much all of them. There's a few exceptions. But like I said in another video, when it comes to them even, I know my generation is better off because they've learned from the parents, you know, the not to behave in that way. But like at least one of them, I'll give an example. My cousin, he had problems with it too. Like his mother and father, they were alcoholics, both of them, and they would drink all the time. Like from the time I grew up to be big enough to know what was going on in the world, up until the point where now I'm pretty sure one of them or even both of them are dead, and probably directly or indirectly through the alcohol related problems that comes up when you're drinking that much. And my uncle, as an example, he died from drinking, and he not only did he drive drunk and lose his license, but he kept drinking until he literally died from it. And he was, I would say, and I'm not going to say correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, because you wouldn't, if I'm wrong because you wouldn't know this, but I would say he was past 60 at least. But the point is, he wouldn't have died if he had stopped drinking at some point, because he kept drinking to the very end, and he got so sick at the end that he died pretty much the way my grandfather did on my father's side. So when you can't stop, like, you know, that's a curse in itself too. Like, alcohol is a demon. We know that for a fact. So you gotta rebuke that shit. And for me, it became like, even me, I was in trouble one point in my life. I was 22 years old at the time I almost became an alcoholic. But having seen my father's side of the family made me aware of the fact that it can do that to you. And not only that, but you have to be that aware as well. Like, you have to be on that level when it comes to awareness. So it was a good thing, a blessing in disguise, as you guys would say, because I actually got to see what it did to people and how it changed them, you know, what it turned them into. But when it came to my uncle, like I said that time, I would definitely like, and that's me being a sinner, if you will, because one side of me wanted to have the chance to tell him, fuck you, you know, because of what he did to me. And it wasn't like any major thing. It was not like he abused me or anything like that. But like, I remember that so vividly because he was drunk, of course. and I met him in a shop someplace, in that little place I come from, and he was buying sweets to some random person, some random kid. And there I am, his nephew. And he didn't even see me. Like, literally, he didn't see me. And, of course, that was due to the fact that he was drunk. But even when I looked straight at him, he didn't even connect the dots. But the point I'm making, if he was at least trying to buy the candies for me, that would have been a different story. But we all know how drunks tend to be more affectionate and more caring and more like, like two guys drinking together, they will be like, yeah, you're my best friend, and they will hug and they will cry and shit like that when they're drinking. It was kind of like one of those things, but just him showing some kind of affection when he's drunk, but to the wrong person, because I'm there, So he never showed me any of that. Like, he had the chances many times along the way, and he did at some points, like early on, like when I was a baby and stuff, and as a small kid, he did sometimes, but it wasn't consistent, if you know what I mean. So, but that again too shows you about integrity, like how it can be compromised by certain things, and in this case, alcohol being that case. So, but I was lucky enough, like when I was 22, I was able to recognize the danger signs, and so I was able to steer clear of it. So that's another thing I'm thankful for, and I don't believe in going cold turkey, so I didn't. But I do have the utmost respect for alcohol and drugs, because I know it's not something you play around with. It's something you do have to take seriously, but you got to figure it out on your own, and that's the thing about life. You got to figure out everything on your own. And that person I'm referring to earlier, when I was talking about their sense of humor, their style of comedy, if you will, is the fact that they have a very good sense of humor, but at the same time, it's kind of like ripping on other people. And I don't know, maybe what that other American person told me is the case. Maybe that's just how American humor is. Maybe it is full of sarcasm and snide remarks at others, little jabs, I don't know, but I wish we would even move away from that, even though it's funny as fuck. I wish we would move away from that, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to pay. And that's why I don't need people judging me, because I do that all the time myself. And I know my experience has been, you pay as you go. I have done so all my life, all my grown life. It's been like that. I do something stupid, something will happen. And to you guys, I don't know if this is going to make sense or not, but I'm going to try my best to explain what I mean. Because I'm meaning literally in my life. Like, I had 1 week, and I'll show you. I don't know if you can see this from this angle or not, but let's see if we can get it to focus. Let's see. If you do look closely, and I know this quality is crap, but if you do look closely, let me see if I can get a little bit more light and maybe a little bit closer and see if I can get it to focus. But if you see very closely, there's a little mark there, a little line there. It's hardly visible, but you can see something is definitely different there by my finger. And I'm not talking about that little bubble, but right where the bubble starts, there's a little notch, like in the skin, there's a little dent. And in 1 week, same fucking week, I cut my finger, both index fingers, at the very same place, but on the different hands. Early in the week, I cut on one side, and later in the week, I cut the other side exactly the same way. And so, to me, that's a sign. That's a sign that you did something bad, and that's what you get. People call it accidents, and of course, there was something else involved that, like you can say, a logical explanation for it as well. But again, I'll restate what I said earlier. I don't believe everything has to do with the logical explanation only, because there's also a part of it that cannot be explained, that has that mystical quality to it. And I myself, at least, I believe it's for what you did. It's for who you are. Like, you get little punishment, little bits of karma, if you will, for whatever you did. Like, if you were too self-absorbed, or, that person, I'll refer to that person again, that person with the comedy, the humor that I've been talking about, that person. I don't know, it's like, I wish, like, again, I don't use a script, so it's kind of hard to cover all the bases, but when I see that person, I mean, it's funny. Like I said, it's funny when I see their comments. But you pay for that in the end. Like, you might not believe in anything, and I know for a fact that this person doesn't. They don't believe in anything bigger than themselves. They don't believe in a higher power. But if you look at it like that, like I do, and I can even include the phrase karma, because that's how it's been for me. Little things have happened here and there, and I got the scars to prove it. I have one on my leg that I wasn't born with that. And yeah, it was partly the other person's that was, the other person that was with me. It was partly that person's fault as well, because they didn't inform me about the fact that there was this place with this open grate missing, and it was just a hole in the ground. And so I stepped into that thing, and the frame for it is like a square made from solid rock. It's like a concrete thing. It's made from concrete. So, of course, when I step into that hole and I hit the edge of that thing, I bumped my leg badly. And thankfully I didn't bleed, but it was a real serious pain. And when I have stuff like that happen to me, that's a sign. It's a little, and that's how I believe it to be. So hopefully it'll never come to something like me losing a hand or a leg or something, But that's how I believe it actually happens for us. I don't believe in hell like most Christians who I'm not saying all Christians, because you might ask 100 different people and have 100 different answers, as I always say. But the point I'm making is that not even all of them believe that there is a actual hell the way hell is described. So I don't believe in hell like that. I do believe hell exists, but it's not what we think it is. Again, I'll come back to that, as I said earlier in the conversation, or the not conversation, but in the talk here. Where was I? The point that got lost. Damn it. I hate when that happens. But anyway, it does come back. Like, it goes around and it comes around, and even though it might look coincidental, or there's a somewhat logical explanation for it, at least partly for it, I don't believe that's all of the explanation. I always believe there's more to it than meets the eye. And so when you have those things happen to you, that's what I'm saying. Because something did happen to someone that I know. And not only one person, but two people it's happened to so far that I know of. And more than that, if I count those people in my own life that I knew, who's not only had things happen to them, but even people who's died. Because somehow, I don't have the power to make you die. I'm not God. But if you die, it must have been pretty bad what you did. Because when there's no logical explanation for why it were to happen, and I mean, sure, anyone out there, like especially the so-called professionals, they would look for a reason, and they will tell you, oh, it's a regular thing. It's a normal thing. It's a perfectly logical explanation for that, and they give you the explanation as well. But the point I'm making is that that's because most of them don't believe. So I was only 5 or 6 years. Oh, sorry. I was only 5 or 6 years old when I had the realization happen to me, because I was almost run down by a car. I ran across the road and a car came. And I didn't understand. I was too young to understand what had happened. When I looked down, though, and see the distance between me and the car, I knew something big had happened, because the distance was basically like this between me and the car. So, like I said, I'll try showing it again. Like, that's maybe like 2 inches. So I was 2 inches from death or injury, and it didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Because this guy, yeah, he slammed on the brakes, as I said in the previous video where I mentioned this story. He slammed on the brakes, so that's part of the reason. But what is the part of the reason that explains that last 2 inches? I'll wait. You know, if anyone has an explanation for that, I'll wait. But my point is, I was just 5 or 6 years old, and I knew something had happened. I looked down, and I was like, wow, that's a very small distance between me and that car. Even as a 5, 6-year-old kid, I realized that I had my first adult moment, if you will. One of I have had moments like that throughout my life, where something is different, even though you're way too young to actually supposedly be able to understand, but you understand it on a deeper level. That's what I'm saying. You understand it on a spiritual level, if you will, because your spirit is ageless, basically. Like Deepak Chopra said, body without age, time without mind. So, and I know it sounds weird, but I think that's, you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think that was the name of one of his books. And I noticed, I never read Chopra myself, but I put that statement in the back of my mind because it makes sense. When you think in those terms, that's part of what's going to be making you able to see the bigger picture, basically. And so even as a 5 or 6-year-old kid, I was able to see that. I was able to see that something miraculous had happened. And so I recognized that fact, and I've been thankful for it all my life. And all these other things that happened. Like I said, I had a guy swing an axe at me. He aimed right for my stomach. I jumped clear across it, jumped over it. How is that supposed to be able to happen from a standstill? It shouldn't be. Even though you're young and you're how do you say it in English? You're not only are you young, but you're fit in a way. You're physically more able than what you are at 40, basically, because at 40 you're starting to go downhill, But what I'm saying is, even for a fit young kid, that's not something that's really possible unless you train specifically for an exercise like that, and you had someone do it over and over again to you with a non-lethal object until you actually made it, like a stick of bamboo or something, Then maybe. But I hadn't had any training like that. So how come that I can just jump over it from a standstill in the spot where I'm standing? It shouldn't be possible. So actually I jumped. Yeah, that's a normal human reaction. That's just normal human, reacting. But me making the jump, I had some help. And why are we here? So, why are we here despite of those things? Because someone helped us. And when we had the other thing happen, it's because we are supposed to have that happen. We did something wrong. But most people nowadays, they don't want to deal with that. And again, I'll state that clearly too. I don't subscribe to, I like Tommy because he makes a lot of sense. But I don't agree with everything Tommy says. And one of those things would be the fuck your feelings statement. And that's another reason why I left that hangout that had that thing, part of it being its name. because I don't subscribe to that. I think it should be logic and feelings coexistent in a symbiosis. And for those of you who don't know what a symbiosis is, it means a collaboration between the two. It should be a partnership. So for me, I don't subscribe to that. And like I said, it's so hard to cover all the bases without a script. And I wish that I actually was the kind of person that can just write a script and use it and actually have it work. But I tried that once already and it actually worked counterproductive. So I'm sorry about me rambling. But, you know, I'm trying to tell you that whether you believe it or not, it believes in you. And it's going to act according to what you are at the time. It's going to treat you as you are according to that time. So when you're innocent, you're going to be treated as innocent. But when you do something, whether it might be even something you didn't know that you did, and then something happens, and then people say, oh, he had an accident. No, it's been years since I stopped believing in accidents and coincidences. Because there is a higher force. Whether you believe in God or not, or religion or not, if you do believe in something like karma, that's what it is. Like, but I do associate it with some higher power, a force bigger than us that knows everything before it happens and orchestrates things accordingly. So when I was 5 or 6 years old and I saw what happened to me with that car, I knew that something major had taken place, because I knew. Not then, because obviously I couldn't put words to it, but now I can say without a doubt, you know, there was some kind of force standing between me and that car, keeping that last inch from me or two, you know, that last inch or two from me. And again, I'm rambling on about that because, like I said, it's hard to keep all the details, but you know, basically it was more like 2 inches. But anyway, it doesn't matter if it was 1 inch or 2, but it was too close to actually that it should have turned out a different way. That's what I'm saying. So, and that's the thing. We are born with, according to the theory of it, we are born with original sin, but at the same time, we're not going to suffer from it before we make the active choice as an adult. And I'm using the word adult loosely here because it's different for everyone what time in life you make that choice. But for me, I would say that time I started living, in quotes, my adult life would be anywhere from 14 to 16. And then at least the beginning of it, and then after 20 maybe you could say it's more like a full-fledged understanding of who you are as a person yourself, and then how can I say, responding to what happens in your life according to those beliefs, those convictions, those morals, whatever you call it, you know. But I had that way of thinking even as a kid. Like I said, I was only 6 years old, but I already knew something stood between me and that car. And the same with me at 14, when I asked myself this question: have I, how can I say, am I only a product of the fact that my parents slept together? And when I examined all the facts, if you will, I came to the conclusion that no, that's too stupid. It's too simple. It's too how can I say? It's too easy. You know, it's too neat. It excludes. It excludes. It's kind of hard to find the right word to describe it, but it's like, when you think about it, like I did back then when I was 14, and you ask yourself that question, logically it doesn't make sense, because from that moment of being 5 or 6 years old, throughout my life, I had those things happen that proved to me there must be something more to it than this. There must be some bigger reason. And so I've been rambling on about many things in this talk, but hello, Simply. Finally, someone says something in the chat. Hi, Super T. Yep. I'm glad to finally see someone here that I can see, because there's 3 people watching now, but there's been 2 people, or at least 1 person watching the whole time, but they haven't said anything before now, so oops, sorry about that. That was my bad. My flap on the phone went over, but yeah. This is definitely a crazy one, and long time no see, Simply. I haven't been around much lately, and like I said, it is what it is. And if you let me try and put the phone down once more, and I'm gonna roll up one more smoke, and see if it does it without coming up with that stupid message I got before. But I don't know. We'll see. It's funny how, I don't get it. So it goes into lock. Tell me, guys, in the chat there, what happened when I did just that? Did it like freeze or something? Because I really want to know what happens when I do that, because it says, it has like this little icon and it shows a lock and it says turn the unit. So I don't know what the fuck that means, but yeah, I'm gonna roll one more up, and then when I'm finished smoking that one, I'm gonna be done with this one. And I just wanted to do this today because I felt inspired today. I don't know why, but you know, even the Bible has a statement like that. And again, I'll paraphrase because I don't know how it's said in English, but it's something like, let me see if I can remember it. Oh yeah, as your day is, so as your day is, so shall your strength be. And so I do live according to what my life's input, because I do treat my life as it's mine all only. There is this kind of input from this other place, and many of you have noticed, like, and I want to bring that to your attention, Super T, because you did comment on that the other day. So I mentioned andiemia, as I call it, because andiemia, in case you haven't noticed, it's the place I refer to when I go to bed, because I do also believe that the land of dreams that we go to, because the Aborigines in Australia, they actually believed, not what I'm about to say, but you know, they called it the dream time, the time that they describe of the very interesting and very dynamic spiritual happenings in that time. So I use that term because literally you go to sleep, of course, and you have dreams, but there's 2 types of dreams. Oh yeah, again, andiemia. You commented. I was in the other chat. It wasn't in my room, but you commented on. You said have a nice trip. I don't know if you were just joking or you caught on to the fact that when I use the term andiemia, it refers to me going to bed, going to sleep, going to dreamland. You know, because I really want to write a book, and when I came up with this place, because it starts off in three chapters, like a. Starts off like a sci-fi novel, basically, and it's the entrance for me to try to explain my difference. But again, I'll state that too, like the movie, what's it called, American Beauty. That's every human being's greatest fear, to be just average, plain, normal, boring, run of the mill. And I'm no different. Every human being has this flaw. We don't want to be forgotten. But honestly, even though I have the same flaw as everyone else, every human being basically has this. Even though I have that, I don't need to be remembered. But I would like to be, and I would like to be that people remember me in a good way. Connection again. Okay still, but do anything. But yeah, it's that thing where the woman said, and I think it was a woman anyway, if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, no, yeah, it wasn't the woman who said it. It was actually the guy the guy replied to that other person by saying, you're not that pretty, and you're totally average. So that was like an insult to her, because she wanted to be special, and all of us, we want to be special, but we aren't really. Like, most of us aren't that special. We just have to deal with that fact. But there is something that is special, and for me, some of that part is something that I connect with God. Like, God is special to me in that sense. And like I said, this morning I had this moment where I was so happy for finding a fresh piece of sliced ham in a pack in the fridge, because the other ones that I had was in the freezer, frozen solid, you know. So that little thing made me happy. And even though I can't say that maybe God made that happen, I don't know. But I was thankful regardless, because it's one of those little everyday miracles that happen. And you got to be thankful even for the little shit. So, and that's something, like I said before in the talk here, that's something that I have to work on all the time, because we as a species, we tend to take things for granted. We tend to expect things for no reason. But I'll give you another example of that. There's something that also happened recently for me, and this is how I like things to be, in that sense. Because, of course, like I was saying earlier in the thing here, I would appreciate the bigger things too, because you would appreciate them even more. But when you have something small, you should appreciate that too, even. Because, for me at least, it's the little shit that matters. Because I was talking to my mother previously about how I don't have anything coming up right now in terms of expenditures, but I do have one thing coming up. I do have the point where I have to... Hello, welcome, Canadian Baconator. I don't know who you are, but welcome. Yeah, it's just a crazy guy rambling on about whatever, you know. You'll have to watch the replay to get some kind of context, but anyway, to get back to, if I can, yeah, me and my mother, we were discussing that. Like, I was mentioning to her how that's the one thing that I know financially that's coming up. And just regular tobacco, just a hand-rolled cigarette, it's all. I know it looks like a joint, but... Ha ha, Super T. Ha ha. But anyway, as I was saying, I did mention to her, I didn't ask for anything or anything like that, but I was just saying in conversation that I have, I know that's coming up. That's the only thing I know is coming up in a few days. And so not only the first time did she give me 200 so I could buy a pizza later on, but next time we met, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, I'm not exactly sure, but then she gave me another 200. And I actually prefer those 200 more than her promising me $1,000 that never happens. You see what I'm saying? So her giving me that 200 is actually, I only have to add like $50 myself in my currency, not $50 obviously, because if tobacco was $50, that would be 400 in my currency. Yeah, that's my currency. I'm not in America, you know. But yeah, let's put it like this: a standard Whopper menu here is $12.50 in US dollars. That's our prices. So we're a rich country, but we're also, because of that, an expensive country. So yeah, that's the one thing I would change about it. But yeah, the pizza was actually only... I'll show you. Let me see if I can find that thing. It used to be... Yeah, here it is. You see this? That's the pizza thing, and it doesn't show any color, but it's actually kind of yellow in actuality because all the colors are screwed up. And yeah, my country is fairly rich because we have oil. We're in Scandinavia, and we're probably the richest Scandinavian country. And we also did make a decent profit from our fishing industries as well. So we have those two as our main. And also we're also big on aluminum. We do produce aluminum on a big scale too. Hydro, as it's called, it's one of the biggest companies in this country. So yeah, you can go back to my channel. There's a video called The Other Side of the Coin, and there's other videos too. You can actually find out some of them, like especially the one that says Happy Birthday Norway. You know, I actually said it, so there you have it, you know. You can look that video up and you can see the celebration for our national holiday, which is coming up soon. You know, it's coming up on the 17th of May, so yeah, we are a pretty rich country, and I guess your Nick, Canadian Baconator, refers to you know who, making videos about Tommy. Yeah, it's 169 in my currency, but it's I don't have, let's see. I don't have anything here right now. Let's see if I can let me try to do something real quick here. This is gonna be a new one, but I also gotta get up because I'm holding the phone too, so let's see. I'm on the move here. Let me get the other phone, because at least that one should have a calculator on it. Yeah, I don't move so well, and from my situation and my body failing me progressively even more and more, but let me just, I'm you don't know what's happening right now, but let's see. If I put it here, will it treat it any different? No, it just says turn the unit, but I don't know what that's about. But anyway, let me sit down and grab it again and replug it and all of that. So it's probably because it wants to change to the other format and you have to choose that when you start. I guess that's the reason, but I don't know that for a fact either. So yeah, let me see. Let me see here real quick. Hopefully this thing, I know it has something under the, yeah, there we are. Oh, that's not it. Let's see. Let's see. 169 divided by 8. Let's see. Is that the, no, that's not right. Divided by, okay, that's it. Okay. 8.30. That's what I knew last, at least. Yeah, like $20. It's like a $20 pizza, but it comes with a large soda. And when I say large soda, I literally mean, let me just fix this bottle real quick, so it's not too, it comes with a bottle this size. It's basically more than slightly over a quarter gallon, so it's 1.5 liters. Oh shit, this thing, I hate this thing, giving me all kinds of messages. I don't know why. But yeah, it's okay, you know, because most of the time when you have some food coming from any place where they made the food for you, you pay for that, you know. So I don't think it's too bad. But again, you have to realize I'm in this country. I grew up in this country, so I'm used to it. but also things are getting progressively more expensive everywhere, not only in my country, but in every country of the world. And I think that's part of what's happening in the world too. It's part of the agenda, if you will. But as I was saying earlier in the show here, I do think we got to change as a people in many ways. And I'm not saying we should get rid of capitalism altogether, because that's no solution either. Just like I said, going cold turkey is no solution for alcohol and drug-related problems either, because then you're just going to create a black market that's bigger than... And that the funny part is, black market exists even without it being illegal or at least restricted or something. So you're just going to make that worse if you actually restrict something or ban it altogether. So... But it's funny with America how they had the depression and the what's the name of that thing? The liquor ban, basically, you know, and it turned out to be counterproductive. So if you see that movie, The Untouchable, bootlegging, you know, the bootlegging business became a thing because of the ban on alcohol. So it became a big thing, and it spawned a number of other things, including hot rod racing, you know, because the smugglers basically trimmed their vehicles and upgraded them in all kinds of ways to avoid the law, you know, to run away from the police cars. So they trimmed the cars and make them go faster in any way they could. And back then it was actually a dangerous game, because you could actually do some changes which made the car go faster, but it can also blow up on you. So there's another movie about that topic too. I don't remember what it's called, but it's more recent, and it has Shia LaBeouf in it. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name, but I don't know how to say his name other than that. But Shia LaBeouf, the guy from the Transformer movies. So yeah, there was about this real band of brothers, which, let me see if I can remember their name. There was something about Bon in the name, I think. Not Bond, but Bon, like Bone. Bonne. I'm not going to say Bonville, but it was something like La Bonne, or I don't remember the name, but yeah, that's another movie with that topic where people are actually smuggling alcohol as a business, and all the stuff they did to moonshining is another term for it. And if the other phone was a better phone, I could actually look it up on the IMDb and tell you the exact title of the movie, but it's funny how that person that I don't yet know what you smoking said what you smoking, and then also when they ask what the fuck is this, like, I don't know half the time, but that's the charm of it. It's like just some crazy guy talking, and that's all YouTube is anyway, you know. It's just some random person talking about something, you know. And I like YouTube for that sense. In it gives people the opportunity to talk about whatever is on their mind, you know. It used to be broadcast yourself, so that's all it is. But yeah, I've been a smoker since way too young of an age, and I know that if nothing else, smoking might be the thing that kills me. Who knows? But I did stop once, and I stopped for about a month, and basically I was climbing the walls after 1 month and 1 week, and so I went back to smoking. And that first day when I started smoking again, I normally smoke maybe 5 or 6 a day at the most. So when I did start smoking again that time, I was very young also at the time, so maybe that's why it was more difficult, because you don't have the same willpower when you're young. So maybe that's the reason, but I was climbing the walls after 1 month and a week. So I went I went to the gas station and I bought some cigarettes and I smoked the whole. It was back in those days when we still had 10 packs of 10 cigarettes. We don't have them in the country anymore. They stopped selling them because they said they wanted to stop young people from smoking, and also they claimed that people were using them for weed and stuff like that. So, but it's stupid, because if you really want to stop them from using tobacco in that way, you got to ban all tobacco. And we all know for a fact that if tobacco and alcohol was up for review in today's world, where we know everything that we do now, neither one would pass the law. It wouldn't be legal. But now people they've grown so accustomed to it that if they were to ban it now, people would go crazy. So, and also greed plays into it. So the lawmakers, as well as the people who produce this stuff, they wouldn't, how can I say, they wouldn't like going without their profits, because they've gotten accustomed to that as well. So me, I'm not big on money in that sense. I don't care too much about money. As long as I have what I need to manage, I'm fine. I don't need to be rich. But I'm saying we are in a rich country. To answer Baconator's question, yes, we are supposedly a very rich country, which is ironic to me since I'm on welfare. Because we are the kind of country, we could basically afford to not have people on welfare, and we could have like a citizen's, I don't know what that would be called in English, but like a citizen's payment, where you don't have to apply to the welfare office every month. But yeah, we have oil, we have some big bucks coming in from our fishing industry, and also aluminum. Like, there might be some other things too, but those are the main ones that come to mind, for me at least, when I think about our industry and where we are actually making some serious money. Oil being, of course, number one, because oil is a big seller still, and that's the thing that we have here. So we also have natural gas. They have started working on that, like exploiting those resources as well. Because again, that's human nature, If you have a resource, exploit it, empty it out as much as you can, and get as much as money as you can for it, That's the capitalist way. But yeah, I'm not against capitalism per se, because if I want to buy something, of course, I want it to be available. So, but yeah, we started out talking about integrity, or I started out talking about integrity, because what is integrity to you? I know what it is to me, because as I said earlier in this talk, I know what it means to me personally, but you have to figure out for yourself what it means to you. But for me, it means knowing who I am and what I believe in, what I stand for. And like I said before, when this statement about fuck your feelings, I can't subscribe to that, because I do think feelings matters as well. But if anyone, like I've had it happen so many times, anytime someone is saying something that makes sense, I'm not going to argue with that person, because if I agree with them and it makes sense and it's logical and it holds what you could say is a valid argument, then why would I argue? That's the whole thing about the word argument. It's based upon you arguing your points. And so if you make sense, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to concede. But people nowadays, they talk about stuff like that. They talk about integrity. They talk about accountability. They talk about this, that, and the other. And then when a lot of times when you put their statements to the test, it turns out it doesn't hold water for them personally. So why even talk about that yourself? It means you're being a hypocrite. But yeah, I have never made any claims about myself in that sense. I'm not saying I'm this, that, or the other, because I am who I am, and I know my flaws and my faults, and who I am as a person. So if you can dig who I am, that's cool. But if you don't have to be, you don't have to be part of what I'm doing. I know it's not for everyone. You have to be a certain type. And that was the thing that drew me to Tommy too. Like, he was talking about black women, but to me it was like he was talking about my mother. So it made sense to me, and I could relate in a lot of things he was saying. But I don't agree with everything Tommy says, or anyone says, in fact, because I am my own person. And that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. You are your own person. And like I said before in this talk, I do believe what you do in life, I mean, other people can make things happen in your life too. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I'm saying, for one, there is a greater power bigger than us. And secondly, I believe that, at least from my experience, it's something that happens along the way are usually indicators of you doing something that's right, or you're doing something that's wrong. And in my case, it's taken on a physical expression. Like, I believe every time I have a injury or a cut or a scar or sickness or anything like that, I'm supposed to have that because it's something I did. It's like a punishment for my actions. So I don't believe in us as humans going around treating other people like we're punishing them. So, like I said before, my basic rule is, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything, because it's then just unnecessary and redundant, basically. So, it's no need for that. Treat others as the Bible says. Treat others the way you want to be treated yourself. And I know it's an impossibility to put yourself in another person's shoes. I know it's not possible. But you gotta at least try to a certain degree. Or if you can't do that, because none of us can, but at least try in a way. Try to realize that we all, even the people, like, I've had it happen so many times, even people that they don't want to acknowledge the fact that they did have an influence on your life. They did, and they're floating through life as if they're just by themselves, and they don't pay attention to anyone else out there, and what their situation is. So basically what that means is that I, being in that situation that I'm in, I try to keep that in mind, and I try to be thankful for what I have, because you never know when it's over. And so, and again, I'll bring up another point which I always did when we had those frequent hangouts, because it's not as frequent anymore, and that's for a reason too. But I'm not crying over it. I'm of course sad of the way it's turned out, but it is what it is, and at the end of the day, those people who make the wrong choices, they will learn in the end that it was a wrong choice. And so I'm not telling you to choose me or anyone else for that matter, because I don't want you to do that. I want you to do what feels right for you. But I'm also asking you to treat other people like you want to be treated yourself, and think about that when you do interact with other people. And I'm not the best at that. I've made mistakes too, and I want to take this opportunity as well to apologize to those people for my mistakes, but it doesn't come from an evil place. It comes from me being a fool. And but hey, maybe the world needs a fool sometimes too. I don't know, you tell me. But at least try to do what I just said. Try to treat people in that way. And even more so, like I always used to say when we had those hangouts, especially, like, I can't remember it every time, but I try to, as much as I can, I try to bring out this point as often as I can. Please remember those who are not with us right now. And I don't mean just not around for this show, for example, the people actually actively watching right now, but I'm also saying for those people who has passed away. Because, as I said just now before, you never know when things are going to be different, when things are going to be to the point where that person isn't around anymore, and maybe they've been struggling with something for the longest time, and then they just got to the point where they couldn't take it anymore and they couldn't be around anymore, and so they did what I tried to do and kill themselves. So that's why I'm telling you, don't treat people like that, because it might have a bigger impact than you could imagine. And this was a pretty long one, and it's all over the place, and of course it's going to be like that when I don't plan things that way. I'm not very organized like that, but I actually prefer it that way, because I think I can actually touch on what is important in that moment, right then and there, in a better way if I do it just from that inspiration. So hopefully you did like this show, and hopefully you got something from it, even though it was kind of all over the place, and this one person, if it's the same one who's been here the whole time, thank you if that's the case. I really appreciate that, because I don't care who many is here. Of course it's nicer when it's more people, but the thing is, even a single one is making a difference. So this is BeatNoLogic saying thank you for taking the time to listen, and if you like this, click the like. If you don't, click the dislike. Either way, it's fine. I'm still here, and I'm still gonna keep doing what I'm doing, but again, I never know where this inspiration takes me, because that's how I work anyway. I gotta feel inspired to do something, and this was just me feeling in the mood to do a live show, since no one else was live right now. And maybe some of you like these early shows, I don't know, but at least in a way, even though it's not two-way communication, it still gives you a chance to interact with me in a certain way, in a small way, and know about my thinking and who I am and everything like that. So I do appreciate you being here, and thank you for doing just that, because it actually makes a difference to me. And I can't repeat that fact enough, because I don't have friends in my real life like that. I mean, a lot of times you start to realize the people that you think were your friends, they just fall behind. And I've done the same thing myself, and I want to take the opportunity to mention that as well to everyone out there that I haven't been in touch with lately. It's not from me, ignoring you or anything like that. It's just, I can't make you be there when I am there, because we are on different time zones as well. But I am still around, I'm still doing this, and gonna keep doing it whenever I feel like doing it, because like I said, I don't do something for no reason. And hopefully you are the same way, and you see what I'm trying to do, and it isn't about me, it's about the bigger picture, and hopefully we will all get there through this and other channels as well. And especially I want to thank Tommy for what he's done, and all his channels, because it gives me a place and people to hang around with, because you need, as a human being, you need social interaction. That's just plain and simple how it is. We are social animals, so we need that in our life. And again, I can't thank you enough for being here, because I know my channel is different, and it's not super fantastic or anything, and every time I do a live show the colors are all fucked up and crazy and the quality is crap, so I can't do anything for that. But hopefully in time, if I have the chance to keep doing this, hopefully I will have better equipment later on, and it will improve. So thank you for sticking with me, and again, I'm signing out, saying thank you for being here, and until I see you next time, have a good one. And as I always say, peace everyone.